All right, let's jump right in. We are about to tackle one of those verses in the Bible that people have debated for, well, literally centuries. It's a single line that has completely shaped how many people think about the end times. Yep, we're going deep into Revelation chapter 20, verse 2. Just listen to this. And he laid hold on the dragon and bound him 1,000 years. Wow. I mean, those are some powerful, epic words, right? They paint this incredible picture of a huge cosmic battle way off in the future. We've all heard it. We've all kind of pictured it in our heads. But what if we've been looking at it all wrong? What if this already happened? I know it sounds kind of out there, but what if that climactic binding isn't something we're still waiting for? What if it's already in the history books? The interpretation we're going to unpack today, well, it makes a really compelling case that the victory is already won. To get it, though, we got to play detective and look at the evidence. So, where do we start with a mystery like this? Well, the first step is to go right back to the source. We're talking about the original Greek text. You got to think of it like a crime scene, right? The grammar, the exact words the author chose, those are our forensic clues. They're what's going to help us crack this case wide open. Okay, clue number 1. It's the verb for laid hold. In the original Greek, it's ekkratesin. Now, you don't need to be a language expert, but the folks who study this stuff point out something absolutely crucial. The tense of this verb, it's called the aorist tense. It points to a single specific action that is already finished. It's not he is seizing or he will seize. It's he seized him. Past tense. Boom. Done. And guess what? We see the exact same pattern with the next word. The word for bound is edeisen. And yep, you guessed it, it's also in that same aorist tense. So the linguistic argument here is getting pretty strong. The text isn't written like a prophecy of something that will happen. It's written more like a historical report, like someone telling you about something that's already gone down. And it's not like this is some weird one-off thing. The same Greek root for bind pops up in other places. You know, like when Jesus talks about needing to bind a strong man before you can take his stuff, or when the soldiers literally bound Jesus in the garden. In every single one of these cases, it means a definite, concrete action, something that happened. All right, so the verbs point to the past, but what about the other huge piece of this puzzle, the 1,000 years? I mean, for a lot of people, that number is everything. It's the cornerstone of a literal future golden age on Earth. But is that really how numbers like this are used in the Bible? Let's take a look. 1,000. It sounds so specific, doesn't it? So literal. Like you could mark it on a calendar. And look, that's a totally common way to read it. But what if the number itself isn't a number at all? What if it's a symbol? So you've basically got two roads you can go down here. There's the literal path, which sees a future, a 1,000-year reign on the dot. But then there's the symbolic path. And this one argues that in the Bible, a number like 1,000 isn't always about counting. Sometimes it's about quality. It represents a complete, perfect, divinely appointed era, not a literal stopwatch. And there's actually a pretty solid foundation for this symbolic view. You've got verses like this one in 2 Peter and another one in Psalm 90 that say 1 day is with the Lord as 1,000 years and 1,000 years as 1 day. Passages like that are the reason people argue that 1,000 years might just be biblical shorthand for a complete age, an amount of time known only to God, not something we can measure with a human clock. Okay, so let's put the pieces together. If the binding was a one-and-done event in the past, and if the 1,000 years represents a complete era that has already started, well, that leads us to the million-dollar question, doesn't it? When? When did all of this happen? The answer, according to this interpretation, is one single history-shattering event, the cross. The idea here is that the crucifixion wasn't just about paying for sin. No, it was the D-Day of a cosmic war. It was the battlefield where the decisive victory was won and the prince of this world was finally judged and cast out. So here's how the timeline apparently plays out. Jesus dies on the cross. And as some passages suggest, he descends. And where does he go? Right into the heart of the enemy's territory. And it's there that he seizes the keys of authority over hell and death. In that single moment of ultimate triumph, that's when he binds the dragon. That's when the strong man's power is broken. And look, this isn't just pulling one verse out of thin air. This case is built by connecting this incredible web of verses from all over. I mean, Jesus himself says in John 12, "Now is the judgment. Now the ruler of this world will be cast out." Paul says on the cross, Christ disarmed the spiritual powers. Hebrews says that through his death, he destroyed the devil. You see the pattern? The argument is that the New Testament points again and again and again to the cross as the moment of victory. Okay, so think about this for a second. If the victory was truly won at the cross, that's a total game changer for how we read the book of Revelation. It means Revelation might not be a roadmap to some future victory. Instead, it could be a vision of the reality that's flowing from a victory that is already won. And check this out. This verse, right from the very beginning of the book, is presented as the master key to the whole thing. Jesus says, "I am he that liveth and was dead, and have the keys of hell and of death." He doesn't say he's gonna get the keys. He says, "I have them." Present tense. His authority is a done deal, established by his resurrection. So the whole rest of the book unfolds from this position of absolute established power. And this is where it gets really interesting. Look at the language. The exact words Jesus uses right before the cross in the Gospel of John, phrases like, "Now is the judgment," "in this hour." They echo all the way through Revelation. The hour of his judgment is come. Babylon's judgment comes in 1 hour. It's like a direct callback. The argument is that Revelation is basically describing the aftershocks of the earthquake of judgment that happened at the cross. So what does this all boil down to? It leads to a pretty powerful conclusion. The binding of the dragon wasn't about making him totally disappear or become powerless. No, it was about breaking his specific power to deceive the nations on a global scale, to keep them locked in darkness. And here's the so what. That victory at the cross is what threw the doors wide open for the gospel to go out to the whole world. It unleashed it. And that leaves us with a really challenging thought to chew on. If this interpretation is right, if the dragon is bound, if the keys have been seized, if the decisive victory is already in the past, what in the world does that mean for you and me right here, right now? What does it look like to live as if we're on the winning side, even when it feels like the fight is still going on all around us? Now that is something worth thinking about.